All right, guys, I'm here with Florida Wrestling Hall of Fame inductee, four-time Florida State champion, PJ Cobbert. PJ, congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it sound for me to say inductee into the Florida Wrestling Hall of Fame? What does that mean to you?
It's a good feeling. I mean, especially with the group of guys that I'm going in with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great crowd.
It is a great crowd.
Those guys have accomplished quite a bit, and the cool thing is a lot of them are still involved in the sport. So
as you are.
Yeah.
You are. So I want you to take us back in time, all right, to the beginning. When did you start wrestling? How old were you? How did you start? How in the world did you get into wrestling?
Well, basically, I mean, Wayne Ivey, who's an inductee, was running the PAL Wrestling Club. And of course, he was connected with my principal, Pete McCabe, who was the former coach at Clay High School. And he was having some things go on right there in wrestling quite a bit. And Clay dual meets, when I was growing up, that was a big thing. You would go to the gym and that place would be packed out. So I remember Miss Harvey, who was a teacher at Charles E. Bennett, or a guidance counselor, I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
I just saw her the other day, but Miss Harvey took me to a dual meet. Now, granted, my uncles wrestled for Mr. McCabe back in the day, but I was a football player before all that, Pop Warner football, and so basically I started about really getting into it about 7th grade.
And what did you think of it?
It was competition. I mean, I think ultimately I just like to compete, so it was challenging, and I wanted to win. I mean, so it became, it wasn't easy, the sport, but it was easy for me to love it just because of the competition side of it.
Sure. You have had a lot of experiences, a lot of matches during the course of your career. Is there a single most memorable match?
I mean, there's a couple. One was with your kid, Thomas Mejia, junior year, quarterfinals match. Should have been a finals match. Should have been a semifinals match, but you know how the state of Florida, you never know what the draw is. So ended up wrestling him in the quarters and found myself down 4-0. And just overcoming that adversity, I mean, that was tough. And he was tough, and you guys, Chip, of course, I wrestled that summer, the summer before that under Chip for freestyle and Greco. So you guys understood everything that I did. Right. I mean, you had it down to a T, and he wrestled really well and had to overcome that adversity. That's a match that I remember every second of it. And then, NHSCA, I remember wrestling Dave Post from Jersey, and I mean, he was supposed to, on paper, beat me pretty bad, and I ended up beating him 20-5. Put a lot of points up, but it was a challenge. I mean, the matches that I remember are the ones where I was challenged the most, where I had to. Yeah,
you faced some adversity and had to find a way to
overcome adversity. Yeah, so
very cool. Well, you didn't have a ton of adversity, because I mean, you won 4 state titles. I'm not saying you didn't. Yeah, you didn't have to overcome some of those things, but you had a lot of success.
Yes.
Was there an idol that you had? Is there somebody you idealized growing up as far as wrestling goes?
Wrestling wise, I got to roll around Chris Bono every time he came to town. So that was great.
Another inductee.
Dustin DiNazio was somebody I was linked up with through going to Glenn Goodman camps. David Mason, I mean, we grew up at the same time, but I got to watch some good guys. I mean, as far as watching people, I mean, I remember having a cassette tape of, I think it was maybe the 96 Olympics. And we would pop that in before practice every day.
Okay.
Me and my teammate Mark DeToro. And we would pop it in and we would watch
the brands?
The brands and Kendall Cross and Joe Say getting them fired up. And that was intense. I remember going to practice fired up just because of that.
Yeah.
The challenges. So
what if now that you're older and you're able to look back, what do you think is an attribute that PJ has that really helped him succeed?
Probably being able to just win when I wasn't supposed to. You know, I was always planning on winning.
Right.
You know, that was my plan. I mean, of course, then the social media wasn't where it is now.
Right.
So I can imagine wrestling now and seeing what somebody posted. That would fire me up even more. But we were silent about it. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't have a voice necessarily. My voice was wrestling. My voice was, you know, and I played football.
Mm-hmm.
So my voice was just going out there and competing. If you told me that receiver was a 5-star, I was going to try to shut him down all night long, and took pride in it. You know,
Right.
winning that situation.
And whether there were 10,000 people watching you or nobody was watching,
Didn't matter.
It didn't matter
because I do understand it's only me there.
Right.
Like I only can control what I do.
Yeah.
So
Was there a person who had such a huge influence on your wrestling career?
well, I mean, after all, wrestling's 90 mental. I think, you know. So, you know, my dad, as far as just being a man and working hard, providing, and my parents, my mom, my dad, my grandparents, as a whole, my family, they taught us that we can achieve anything that we wanted to achieve. So we didn't make it about just wrestling. Everything that I did, I tried to win. And so, yeah, I know this is about wrestling, but
No,
you know,
but there's, I mean, it all intertwines.
But overall, just the way that I was brought up to work hard, you know, and just be where your feet are, whatever's in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
attack it and do what you have to do. And our faith, you know, my faith that I had in God, and I still have, that's the reason, you know, that's what helped me.
Very cool. If you were to look back, is there a particular memory as a competitor?
I mean, that Thomas Mejia match was that was crazy because, of course, I think I was going for number 3.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
that's
was
right.
going for the third state title, and probably that was in the 4 years, that was the toughest match that I had. The whole 4 years, that was the toughest match. I don't think I was ever down in a match in the state tournament except that one.
Yeah, I can't remember one.
That's it. So that's a memory that, I mean, you had to overcome adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was set up through practices. Coach Reed ran tough practices. Of course, I don't think people remember, but Coach Petrucci was there and he left after my sophomore year, but practices were brutal, you know. So the adversity was created, you know, and that's what, like today now coaching, we have to create these practices where, you know, because sometimes tournaments just don't do it. They may go to a tournament and they may get the right side of the bracket. They may win out, and did they see the toughest guy? Who knows? But there's going to come a time at the state tournament when it counts.
Is there something that you because you're now at Fleming Island and as a head coach there, is there something you took from your time as a wrestler that it's got to be part of the way I coach?
I think physicality. I think that today's wrestling kids are so technical now. There's so much being taught. Although I think wrestling's the oldest sport in the world, I don't think there's some new move, but there's different ways to get to them. Mm-hmm. I think physicality is key, and that's where I was a very physical kid on the football field and wrestling. I was trying to really beat people up, and I think that's what I'm trying to create at Fleming Island. Like, just be physical, and you know.
If you had an opportunity to go back in time and just say, is there anything that you would change
about my high school career?
About
anything?
Yeah.
Couldn't have been written in better. You know, like, I mean, even wrestling in college and all. I mean, who knows? I think God puts us where He wants us to be, and I have a beautiful family. My wife Allison, my daughter Kinley, and my son Gabriel. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Like, it's perfect. Fleming Island, perfect. I get to try to build North Florida wrestling. That's what I'm trying to do. with
succeeding.
I mean, it's tough, and those challenges as far as like dealing with other coaches, kids, and the landscape has changed since you coach.
Yeah,
you know that. I think you guys pushed us so hard, and we embrace that. Now parents are afraid to push their kids, and it's like, as a coach, I want you to have to go through adversity.
Yeah,
because in life it's coming, and your parents can hide you from it, and I think it hurts you later if you're hidden from it.
Does a disservice to you.
Yeah, it's just not good for you.
So, last question: if you, what would you like people to remember you most by? And it doesn't have to be PJ or Paul. I think of you as PJ, as the wrestler. It doesn't have to be the wrestler. Just as a person.
Well, I did it the right way, whether it be, business, friendship, relationship. I did it the right way. I wasn't some person you talked to and later you went around the corner and I was saying something else. What you see is what you get, and that's the way I was taught. And that's coaching, being transparent, being able to get through to kids, letting them know that you love them. And that's like, whoever's in my circle, I love them. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want them to remember. Like, I would do anything in the world for the people that I love,
that you pull close,
that I'm close to. So.
Well, PJ, I want to say congratulations on your induction.
Thank you.
And I want to wish you the best of luck in the future.
Sir. Thank you.
All right.
First of all, I want to thank God for being in this situation. Having the opportunity to be around such great people. Mr. McKay, that was my principal. He is my principal. I still stay in contact with him until this day. Every day I call him when I get a chance and let him know I love him. And the atmosphere that he created at Clay High School. And for him bringing in Coach Reed, because Coach Reed let us know that whatever we wanted to accomplish, we can accomplish. He was not only my wrestling coach, but he was also my football coach. I was a strong safety, cornerback. So I played football year round. I showed up to wrestling with 3 months. I would wear a sweatshirt under my pads. At the end of football season, we're in the playoffs so I can get down to weight. Back then, there wasn't weight certification. So, the atmosphere that Mr. McKay created, we felt like a family. Everybody was so close. We had kids from Fleming Island, Lake Asbury. It was a bigger school back then. But the atmosphere that he created and allowed us to be who we wanted to be. But we were held accountable for everything that we done. In the classroom, out of the classroom, even when you're in the community. In that town we grew up in, if you got out of line, somebody will put you back in line. And then when you got back home, you get it again. And so, I'm so thankful to him for being here. He's not in the best of health right now, but it was important for him to be here. And to my family, my wife, my daughter, my mom, my dad, my grandmother, my old wrestlers, Rusty, Catfish, Junior, Chad Nix, and then there's so many people in here. Coach Johnson at Fargo. I remember the Fargo trip with him and Coach Wembley. Now I looked at Coach Wembley, I said, man, he's small. He beat me like I stole something. But I appreciate that. All these other guys in here, there's people that I coach now, Coach Walker. These people make me a better coach. I lose sleep over losing to these guys. And so every time I go back to practice, I'm trying to figure out how to beat them. But it's all in love. We all respect each other. And that's what this community is about. So thanks to the committee. And one last person, Coach Laxton. I'm sorry. Coach Laxton talked about rivalries. My losses were to his kids. Okay? It wasn't fun when we went to Live Oak, but it made me a better person. Summers at Bowles, training with Chris, wasn't fun at all. He did not take it easy on me either. But I embraced being able to wrestle people like that, and I took it to the mat. And I figured if I could wrestle with Chris Bono, or a couple times I got to roll with Kale when he came with you, I can compete with anybody. So again, I thank God for the opportunity to be a part of this great group. Thank you.